Microsoft blocks the Activision deal, a third Horizon game is said to be in the works, and Tears of the Kingdom game previews are out to the world. All this and more on this week's episode of Checkpoint.
Welcome back to Checkpoint, brought to you by Strictly Casual, your number one show bringing you important news and bringing down the biggest stories in the gaming industry. I'm one of your hosts, James Walmer, with the spiciest jalapeno in gaming, Rai del Maldonado. That's an Italian accent. That's the wrong one. Thank you, audio listeners. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/strictlycasual. Please hit us with a rating on audio platforms and sub. It helps us out a lot. Ryder, tell us, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. You know, it's been a busy week. You know what? I made a pact to never say busy week because I say busy all the time on the podcast. So it's not busy, even though it is. But I'm feeling okay.
Eventful.
Yeah, eventful for sure. It's finals.
Is it eventful?
Yeah, no, it has been. It's been lots going on. You know, it's finals, so I'm trying to get through that. And then once I'm done with that, it's summertime, baby. And that means Summer Game Fest. Baby. It means Star Wars. It means Diablo 4. It means more stuff to come, right?
Yep, and we're going to be covering all of that right here on Strictly Casual. Doing great today. It's a beautiful morning. It's a little gloomy outside, but we're living life. Ryder, tell us more about what's going on the channel.
Yeah, well, we have a little sneak peek of first thing that comes to mind is we're cooking up something. We have the bare bones of a website. We're working on kind of our one-stop shop for everything.
Reveal.
Yeah. So we did kind of drop this, yesterday on the Freestyle. I was like, oh, shouldn't we? This is gonna be for everybody. We're kind of thinking of like your one-stop area for our content. It's like a little card, just something simple for now, and for working on it, trying our best with what we got, right? But stay tuned for our website. That'll be all linked down below, of course. But new clip will be coming out. Great. CinemaCon just happened, so new news for like DC, Universal, stuff like that. So stay tuned for that clip. But yeah, we got some fun stuff today. Gaming news.
Yeah, we do. We're gonna get right into it, I think. I'm gonna start us off with Microsoft saying the Activision deal block is the darkest day of doing business in the UK. Now, this headline is not just headline; it has some context behind it. We've been following on this show, on this podcast, for the past almost 2 years, I want to say. 1 year, 2 years? A little over a year, I think. Activision Blizzard wants to be bought by Microsoft. No other way around. Microsoft wants to buy Activision Blizzard, causing a lot of problems. People are like, whoa, no way. This is a lot. You're like monopolizing the industry. This isn't fair for competition. Federal Trade Commission weighed in. There's still, so the deadline is May 22nd. And at May 22nd, we'll know if this deal goes through or not. And it's a global scale. And Microsoft is going around to all of these countries globally and going to their, essentially their Federal Trade Commissions or Department of Commerce type institutions and being like, yo, can we do this? And so the big one that came out yesterday was the UK blocked the deal. The what is their thing is the CMA, Commercial Competition Markets Authority.
Gotcha.
Competition Markets Authority. So I'm gonna read it from here. This comes from Polygon. In an interview with BBC, Microsoft President Brad Smith said their confidence in doing business in the country was, quote, severely shaken, and suggested it would be looking at doing more business in the rest of the European Union. Or my bad, UK is not a part of that, so not the rest of it, but just the European Union. The decision is, quote, bad for Britain and the darkest day in our 4 decades in Britain, Smith said. It does more than shake our confidence in the future, the opportunity to grow a technology business in Britain than we've ever confronted before. Microsoft then says, throws shade at the UK, saying there's a clear message here. The European is a more attractive place to start a business than United Kingdom. A lot of this comes about as in the wake of talking about the exclusivity of Call of Duty on Microsoft platforms, but we've seen that they're actually talking about expanding that. And I think this is a sort of their incentive for allowing the deal to go through. Whereas like, okay, like we get Activision Blizzard, but we're actually gonna make Call of Duty and maybe like more franchises to come available on other platforms. So they
Yeah.
really want to make this acquisition. They really want these to merge with this other industry giant, and I think they're willing to pull strings with everything on the inside and everything they have control over within that, as long as they merge to kind of like promote like some at least some cross console contact.
Mm-hmm.
So this article talks about like them doing that with Nintendo and bringing Call of Duty to Nintendo, which we've talked about here on the show in the past. But in terms of like Microsoft moving from Britain to the EU, there's like they seem pretty optimistic in the deal following the Call of Duty thing. They said, okay, you want to
Yeah.
bring Call of Duty Nintendo, then I guess we don't have to like really worry about you cornering the market and making
Mm-hmm.
like it not competitive. Ryder, um, how familiar are you with this? And as someone who might not be actively covering it, and following your ear to the ground on the deal, like what questions do you have for me, and what are you curious about? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about this a lot, from you guys, and of course, it's been all over the internet. And the main conversations were like, "Oh, is it going to be a monopoly? Is it? Won't it? You know what I mean? Like, will it control the
Mhm.
entire market and stuff like that?" And even reading over the article, the thing that I saw about it was talking about cloud gaming concerns, which was surprising
Right.
that was kind of talking about it, because
Yes.
we've heard conversations online now of like, if more games are going to be live service and doing well, yeah, these might be separate conversations. Feel free to correct me about like
No,
if we're
this is
gonna.
right. UK regulator decides to block deal over cloud gaming
Mhm.
concerns. That
Okay,
is
yeah,
what broke it. Yeah.
yeah. So if it's gonna be that, then it's just gonna be this thing of like, yeah, you're kind of controlling that entire market, and it's small but quote fast growing. It's a fast growing market, which is like, okay. I didn't, from the outside, it didn't seem like that is, but I guess that's the concern, is that if we do this, there's other markets out there that will be dominated by this deal and stuff like that. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
tough because you think about these companies owning a game like that and owning a company, and like what does it mean for everything. And I know, again, y'all have talked about it. We've talked about it multiple times on the channel. There's so many videos out, right, talking, analyzing it and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess my concerns are, like surface level. I'm waiting to just continue hearing more. But if it's being blocked already and they're throwing shade, like, do you think this is gonna just like fall through like eventually over time, because it just like dwindles away, or are they gonna really push it hard to
So
continue?
here's what I don't know is I don't know if their approval needs to be unanimous throughout all the global
Mm.
trade commissions and trade institutions they need to pass. Like I don't know if they can let it be blocked in the UK and then just go on to the EU and be
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh well, the EU
We're
approved it,
good.
so that in some way
It's
like
set. Yeah.
supersedes, like the authority of the
Hmm.
UK. I don't know like who has the final say in this. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if Microsoft gets like an 80-90% approval rate from these institutions and it gets to pass, or if it needs to be unanimous across
Hmm.
all these like trade commissions and things like that. Um yeah, I think that point about it being tied to cloud gaming concerns is really interesting. It almost makes it seem like they're picking up on their model
Hmm.
for like what they want the base to kind of be like in
Yeah.
terms of like Microsoft really pushing cloud
Hmm.
gaming and
Hmm.
pushing the multi-platform. Like we've talked on the show about Microsoft maybe moving in the direction of like a cloud stick,
Yeah.
that you plug into your TV and you just connect controller and bada bing bada
Hmm.
boom, moving it to various other platforms like your phone and laptop and having those be your primary like game like machines and just
Because
have
that's
all the processing in the
yeah.
cloud.
That's like
So I guess like
ultimately that's their
go
goal,
ahead.
right? With streaming service, sorry, like Game Pass,
We think we don't know.
trying to sell the
This also
membership.
like ties into other rumors about Microsoft being displeased with like Xbox as a
Hmm.
whole, and I don't know if that will go more towards like them investing in more
Hmm.
console
Yeah.
based initiatives and like marketing and selling boxes, or they're just moving away from that entirely to push toward cloud gaming. And I could see where they like because Microsoft is kind of leading this charge. that they would be concerned with them sort of
Mhm.
setting that market and not having um other
Yeah,
companies
more money long
wanting like
term
yeah
like that. No, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, for sure.
breaking in that space.
That's all
So
I have to say on that.
okay, I think that's all I have to say too. Obviously, like Sony's still really like not approving of the deal, but that's obvious because it's Microsoft and PlayStation at the end of the
Yeah,
at the end of the day. So
I think
I
about
mean,
well now that comes to mind. I think about Xbox's like lack of devotion to like studios. Like I've seen people talk about the
right,
studios that they had like with Halo and with like Wolfenstein and those companies stuff like that they have all these franchises that they can give love to, right? Like we've seen PlayStation and what they've done with their games, right? Like we even talk about Horizon, in a little bit here, and like they're continuing to push story-based games and single player experiences. And yes, the multiplayer games are coming, like in Last of Us and that, but their single player games are making money. And I think Xbox is like, well, let's try and just go all in on our memberships, our multiplayer, the cloud, and it's like season passes and stuff like that. It's like a whole different model for them. I think so.
yeah,
I
it's
don't know. Maybe it
definitely
balances out. Maybe. Maybe.
yeah. I don't know. I think Microsoft is really struggling to find their niche in the market right now, and
Yeah.
Sony, like we've talked about this before on the show, but Sony's kind of in that like art film almost
Yeah.
sort of vein of like
Right.
they're really pushing indies well and they push like the story driven like AAA experiences really well and they have a lot of great exclusives that are home to PlayStation and it feels like every single exclusive that like Microsoft has brought in besides like Hi-Fi Rush
Mm-hmm.
has been high like really
Mm-hmm. Every time they
they've
drop
been
a
kind of missing the mark on
surprise.
it. Like that's why we keep talking about like Redfall that needing to be really good, and then everything coming out with that about it not hitting 60 frames a second and being consistently
Yeah.
30 frames. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
such a big detriment. Like that's a huge loss for Microsoft, and that's why there's so much riding on the success of Starfield because if Starfield isn't good, like that means that's not just Redfall that is potentially not very good, but that's also like Microsoft dropping the ball on 343 with Halo. To your point, as you're saying, like Microsoft is just like not treating their studios the best, like
Mm-hmm.
in the past,
Yeah.
like and not having a lot of follow up on other Bethesda GameWorks um, titles like
Mm-hmm.
Wolfenstein and kind of letting New Colossus. Was that what it? Was that the second game?
Yeah. Yeah. It's about yeah
Yeah.
something like that. Mm-hmm.
Um
Hey, well, this summer,
but
this that's the was it Xbox Game Showcase. Now we get to see what they're cooking up.
yeah, we'll see
Mm.
what they're cooking up. It's gonna be really and that'll come after the whole Activision Blizzard thing.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see.
Ooh.
Like it's gonna be a lot of I
Jeez.
think it's gonna be a lot of tight decisions. I would be surprised if they delayed or didn't do an
Mm.
Xbox game showcase this year
Mm-hmm.
because they like depending on which way this goes,
Yeah.
they could totally need to pivot in one direction or the other. I mean, I think it'd be easier for them if the trade did go through because it feels like they have all these plans riding on it.
Right.
At
Yeah.
least in my mind, I think they do. I don't know if for sure, but it feels like they have this whole slate and this whole like plan
Right. Yeah.
that
Plan A is
hinges on them
what we're
acquiring
doing.
Blizzard,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Plan B
But
is not
yeah,
an option.
Lumber is not an option. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. May 22nd. You said right. May 22nd. We'll find out.
May 22nd is Doomsday.
All right. Well, moving on. We got Tears of the Kingdom. Of course, a game that has been highly anticipated by a lot of people. Even I, as someone who's not involved in a lot of the gaming news, would say I know this is a huge game. Lots of footage has been coming out, trailers and stuff, and we got some early previews. Checking out the games. We got some reviews, some videos coming out, analyzing the gameplay and kind of the mechanics and what's going on here. Yeah, so there was this great video that we were checking out from Skill Up, and some more footage from different places all over the line. Initial thoughts. What are you thinking about this game? What's kind of the standout? How are you feeling so far about this sequel?
Overall, really optimistic. I think seeing the Nintendo released a little. It was a part of their Nintendo Direct. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
last month. They did their Nintendo Direct on Tears of the Kingdom, and it made me excited for the game in a way that I really needed it to.
Mm-hmm.
Tears of the Kingdom's had a lot of hype for a lot of people, but for me, seeing it look so similar to Breath of the Wild made me not super excited for it, just because I'm like, oh, it's just kind of more of the same. I don't know how they're going to innovate. I don't know how they're going to make this a new experience for a lot of people. And I think seeing that Nintendo Direct really proved to me that this could be a new game, a new experience, and had a lot more in store than I gave it credit for. And so I
Mhm.
think seeing this preview and hearing Skill Up talk about the systems and the mechanics that are at play, like I see how Nintendo is turning this into something that's a lot different than previous Zelda games, and I think Breath of the Wild was a stepping stone to this game for sure, and that's very evident through like the art style and the world and the abilities and what they build off of from the previous game. It's definitely more of like a sequel that is not super common for the Zelda franchise.
Mhm.
I can't think of any other Zelda titles that are really feel like true sequels,
Oh yeah.
because they're all pretty like standalone.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm excited to see what Nintendo does with that. But I'm also a little. I think there's a part of me that's bummed that this game is not something super different than its
Mm.
predecessor. That it's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
like this new chapter that has a different art style, that has, different way of, different camera angle, different kind of way that they're envisioning Hyrule. Um, but we'll see. Like, there's a lot that we have yet to see with this game, even though we
Yeah.
did to have like had people get hands on with this game. Um, I Ryder, tell me about some of the things that you're excited about
Well,
with this game.
well, you bring up a good point about like the originality of it. And I think because maybe the first one was so popular and beloved, right? Like some people loved it. Maybe they were like,
Right.
look, maybe we don't want to stray too far away from that. And, maybe kind of a fear of leaving that because
Yeah,
it's so
that's the
good.
fear.
But
That's the
um,
fear.
yeah, something that surprised me time and time again, every time I see more footage, is the kind of building that they're doing in this, right? Like the freedom to like craft your weapons and crafting like different ships and vehicles and stuff like that, and kind of play around with the world, like it's these
Right.
abilities that you have, right? Like
Right.
that
And that's
wasn't.
like I want to be cautious about the word crafting, because
Yeah,
if you
not
haven't
crafting.
seen this, you
Okay.
might think like crafting menu, like having a bunch
No,
of
yeah.
materials in your inventory that you like go to a bench and you like put together to
Yeah, no.
craft something. Like that's not this. This
Hmm.
is, I think, doing something very innovative and very different
Hmm.
with like that sort of concept that has been done many
Hmm.
times before, but doing it in an original way. Tell me more
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I mean, with the open world, kind of like it's like these abilities, like the telekinesis type vibe, where you're grabbing stuff and you're able to levitate things, to whether it's interacting with these enemy boss camps, these enemy camps, and stuff like that, and attacking them with objects and stuff like that. And then also another highlight for me was thinking about the open world and the size of it. I remember hearing a lot of people talk about this world is massive, and I don't know how it runs so well considering it's on the well, the one highlight that I heard too was that this is built for the Switch. That the first one was like ported for it or something like that, and that this one is now, like, the first one was
They're
optimized,
both
right?
built for the Switch.
Both.
No,
Okay.
they're both
Then
built
I
for
don't
the
know where I
Switch,
was
and
hearing that this one was
it's
like
okay.
actually made for it. So
Yeah, it's made for the Switch, but like even then, like a lot of people have had um like in Skillup's preview, he talks about at the end, like there's a lot of performance issues. Sometimes the game's dropping down to like 15 frames a second.
makes
And
sense. That would,
it makes sense.
yeah.
And but like it makes sense in that, like, yes, it's obvious that a game that does feel bigger and have more systems than Breath of the Wild would
Hmm.
chug more on the hardware. But on like a lot of people are skeptical of the performance and like why it has to be that, and why Nintendo would allow this to sort of happen in a certain way, where it's
Hmm.
like, is Nintendo just okay with games running and like chugging in ways that take you out of the immersive experience?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so my whole question is thinking about the way this game's going to review. And I mentioned this because we're going to get to these in a second, but Jedi Fallen Survivor
Mm.
came out this week. And of course, just like Fallen Order is getting a day one patch, and reviewers are encountering bugs, and they're encountering technical issues, and they're encountering inconsistent frame rates. And so the question is, like, that's factoring into people's review scores. And Greg Miller talked about this on the Kind of Funny Games cast, is like the catch 22 is, do you market,
Yeah.
and say,
Point.
I'm gonna review this game lower because there's technical issues that are not resolved, or do I might get mark it higher in hopes that they're improved over time
Yeah.
with a patch?
Fixed.
And I don't know if that same logic applies here because these issues are limited by hardware. Where it's Fallen Survivor, you have,
PC
you know,
maxed out.
PC maxed out. You have PlayStation 5s, you have the Series X's that have that power overhead that it's more than possible to achieve consistent frame rates, but it's a lack of optimization.
Hmm.
And so the concern is like because that's not the case for this game and people are still really going to enjoy it. I very much know people are going to love this game. Is it going to factor into people's review scores? Like how
Hmm.
at what point are you able to give a game a 10, right?
Yeah.
Purely based off its systems and enjoyability and factor in like the technical issues that
Hmm.
it proposes.
Yeah. You have there's a gotcha mechanic. Oh, tell me about this gotcha mechanic. What's that?
Wait,
What
I
are
want to
they?
hear your thoughts, Ryder.
Oh, on that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that like when it comes to that's tough too. Like I would say, because you want to have faith that the day one patch fixes it, right? Because they also compared, like, I'm thinking about calling back to that kind of funny review that like something like Cyberpunk, right? That happened, and you're like hoping for something, and it still wasn't fixed, right? So I think when it comes to like I think that was like a one time deal. My hope is that with something like Star Wars or with this, if it runs poorly and they say, hey, like, we're hoping that the day zero patch fixes it. It's like, okay, cool. I won't put that into my.
But this isn't this is limited to hardware.
Mhm.
Like they're not gonna be able to patch this out because we've seen this before with
Mm,
Breath of the Wild. We know that it does. Like there are parts of Breath of the Wild that also don't run well, but people still gave it 10. So my question
yeah, yeah.
is it like should Zelda get a pass because there's something special about it? And a sort of like user experience that like it like does everything else about the game outweigh
Mm,
the technical issues if other games are marked out because of their tech or marked down because of their technical issues. Like
mm-hmm.
it almost seems like in certain ways like Zelda gets a pass because
Yeah.
like, oh well, it's on that hardware, even though like Nintendo I feel like should know better to
That's true. Yeah. Those
I don't
dang
know.
boys at Nintendo. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. No, like, definitely, since it is Nintendo exclusive, right? Like, I think
Yeah.
they're giving it that pass, right? It depends on the angle. If you're coming at it from like, I only play a Nintendo Switch. I don't play console. I don't play PC.
Well, what's your angle?
My angle is I would probably go that angle, honestly. I would say, look, I'm just going at it from a Nintendo Switch perspective. Like, it runs okay. It's like a Game Boy. Like, I'm giving it the benefit, of like, it's already an amazing open world game on such a little
Mm-hmm.
device that
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's only so much you can do on a computing on power like that. So I respect the ambition to make such a large game that's so long. It's has so many mechanics. It's a AAA game on such a small device, but it's like, I know it's also, where do you draw that line, and so it's tough. I
Like
would
what
I would
would you express frustration that Nintendo did not launch it? Because like everyone was like, "Oh, I think like Nintendo's gonna drop it with the new hardware, like the new Nintendo, like the
Oh
Switch
yeah.
Pro or something like that." When Nintendo chose not to, and Nintendo like has repeatedly said time and time again that there's not plans for that, at least not in the near future. So like, do you think that would be like? What are your thoughts on Nintendo choosing not to do that?
Yeah, this seems like, see, for something so because the first one won game, right? The first one won game of the year, right? Didn't it?
For
Or no?
some outlets, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
sure it did.
still, we know that it's award winning. Like the first one was, it's loved a
Yeah,
lot.
we
I
do.
do think that the second one, you could have had an opportunity to have a new device be released, because we've had maybe like a half step up, right? A bump with like a new Nintendo
Not with
Switch,
the
but
Nintendo consoles typically though.
yeah, nothing that
Because
major.
we had the Switch OLED, but that's not
Yeah,
like
that's what I was thinking of.
that's
Yeah,
not
see, it was just a tiny thing.
processing power. It's
Hmm.
just a screen.
See, so there was an opportunity, you could have released the full thing and have that, pair with this device, because I think it's been plenty of time. Like, it's,
Right.
that first one's been out for so long. Do you so then does it go into like delaying the game to fixing it to make it better? Because it's like there's no point in where this becomes optimized.
There's
There's
no
no.
I don't yeah, that's what I'm saying is there's
Yeah,
no like way you can optimize this game to
it's like,
like there's no way this game's running at a
yeah,
consistent 30 even on Switch, I would
dude.
say.
Man,
So I'm
that's,
saying
yeah.
like I'm Yeah, it's like with the constraints that it has, is it deserving of
To get these tens
markdowns
and yeah,
based on, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Like it's constraint on the hardware on Nintendo's side, but also like it's yeah, I think it'll come up around again when it comes to like game of the year
hmm
discussions. Um because people are gonna be like, if it gets nominated, it's gonna be like, oh well, it didn't run well, like Nintendo should have given it better hardware
hmm
to run on. Like is it really deserving if like
here's right
especially
for
if
me.
something like
Hmm
Fallen Survivor,
hmm
like if it somehow isn't patched and isn't like
hmm
if it still struggles with inconsistent frame rates,
Yeah,
are they gonna like are they gonna dock Fallen Survivor because it has the
yeah,
overhead
true.
and it should run that way? Where there, I guess there isn't that expectation on the Nintendo end because they're like, well, it's just the hardware. But
Because when it comes to like, there's two things. One, like when it comes to that pad, right? When it comes, I'm just saying, the Nintendo Switch. I played on it. It's so small of a screen that if there are frame rate drops and if there are like graphical qualities like diminishes, it's not that noticeable as long as it's not game breaking, right? Like if it's stuttering, I guess it's like
oh,
cool.
but
I
it
could
is
bear it.
noticeable. Like Skill Up even said, like it is noticeable. Like
Yeah.
dropping down to 15 frames, and it does take you out of the experience. Like it's immersion breaking, and
So
that's
yeah,
like
I guess it
that's
depends on
where I'm
who.
like, damn, like it's gonna if this is gonna be something consistently happening, like why is this game?
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like Nintendo should just treat it a little better.
No, of course. I'm right there with you. It's one of those things where I want to get my hands on it because I want to see like how would it for me, because I've experienced so many glitches in games throughout my whole life, and I still think some games are like, oh, this is still a great game, but I think back on those things. Even Jedi, the first one, Fallen Order, right? Like I was playing and so
Mm-hmm.
many glitches happen for me still, like game breaking things
Mm-hmm.
where I had to restart the game. You know what I mean? But I was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like like tapped out for it. So it's like I don't know if you're there using your Nintendo Switch, like I think of Switch as like an offhand console. I know a lot of people main the Nintendo Switch, but I think of it as like, cool, I have
Yeah.
some free time. I'm out of the house. Let me hop on it. It's like how much time is this killing you that that it's not running right and that it's
Well,
it's
this is a
taking you out of
big game.
experience.
People are going to spend a lot of hours. People put hundreds of hours into Zelda games, just especially like with having such a big like sandbox and everything like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is going to take a lot of people's time. And so if
Yeah,
like if there's a certain percentage of that game, like say like 30% of the time you're playing it, you're experiencing frame drops. Like
sad. It is sad.
it sucks,
Yeah.
and that's like not a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe Tears of the Kingdom is just so great that like you're gonna come away from that and it's just like not you're gonna be like, oh man, like even though there's frame drops, like it was just so amazing. Like I really felt like I was in it, that I was able to play around and I
Mm-hmm.
had this immersive experience and it was incredible. And maybe it won't detract from that at the end of their experience, but I'm still skeptical on how like Zelda gets a pass because of the hardware
Yeah. Why
that
Zelda?
it's on. When it feels like the hardware should like Nintendo owes it to the
Mm-hmm.
franchises to
For sure.
to
Yeah.
have better hardware.
Hey, well.
At least for consistency. I'm not saying it has to be 4K 60
mm,
frames. I'm just saying like consistent. Like can we like not have the drops?
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Hey, well, throw that question out, everybody at home. You let us know. Tweet us out. Hop on our Discord. Let us know what do you think about this, especially in the comments. How
Yeah.
do you guys feel about that? I would like to get
Yeah,
more
for
opinions
sure.
too. See what
I want to
majority.
touch on a few gameplay things real quick
Mm-hmm.
before we move on. This game's just really physics based.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything has physics. I mean, I think this it also attributes to the first game and like how everything kind of like makes sense in the world. Like think about like environmental systems and like you can see a tree, you can cut it down and then it floats and then you
Yeah,
can
it's
stand
crazy.
on it, and how all those interact with the world, and they're doubling down on that, making me really excited. The gotcha mechanic is really funny to me, how it's not like a gotcha system where like you're getting rewards or like outfits,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's like almost Sheikah like things you walk up to and they spit out like a material
Uh,
or
nice. Okay.
a like an item to use with the super hand system to like build a
Okay.
device or build like a
Close. Yeah.
flying machine or build like a car. And I think that's really interesting that they add that aspect of randomness to it so that it forces you to get creative
Yeah. Sounds
with the
funny.
sandbox.
Yeah.
um how do you feel about like durability coming back? And I think it's alleviated with the fuse mechanic and how you can keep fusing things onto an item to maintain its durability. But like, how did you feel about that with the first game?
Well, I saw. Well, I'll talk about this game because I didn't. I never played the first one. Well,
Ah,
no, I
fuck
know.
me. Fuck
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm
Fuck
sorry.
you.
Look, here's what I
Oh
saw
my
for this one.
god.
When I saw it for the second game, and I was saw it. This applies mainly to like. Well, not applies, but I saw it really be highlighted when it came to boss fights and stuff like that. Because you're fighting, and you can kind of like take a moment, take a pause, right, and switch out what you're working with. Because when you're hitting something with whatever you got, it has the durability, so you gotta swap it out. And it kind of, I don't know, there's a strategy kind of to it of like what you're going into a fight, what you need to take, what you need to have ready to swap it out and stuff like that. So I don't know, thought that's something fun versus just kind of mindlessly going into the fights. Like you got to think about it beforehand.
Yeah, there's that preparation aspect.
Well,
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll say that I never minded the durability in the first game. I
hmm
think it keeps you on your toes in a similar way that like you allude to. Um, and I really like that it invites creativity and like
yeah,
always switching on the fly between weapons and like being like, oh shit, this broke. I need to figure something out. And I think this game is equipping you with a lot more opportunities to lean into that and be dynamic and to be creative on the spot. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to mention
hmm
some of the like gameplay elements, like all of the ability, like the Sheikah Slate type things that you get have much more moment to moment usability that you can like use your abilities more often.
yeah.
Um and encounters and moving around the world, all that just gets more used.
Dude,
Okay.
I was trying to think of like when this game came out in 2017. I was like, what was I playing in 2017 that I wasn't playing that game?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
questioning
I
'cause
was on
this
Super
game's
Mario
insane.
Odyssey. That's what I was doing. I was playing that.
Oh shit. Okay. Fair enough.
Like
Cool.
Resident Evil.
Ryder, we got more breaking news this morning.
Oh, this is it. This is huge.
Also, we're like 20, 30 minutes on the podcast now, not one story in. Or I guess two stories in.
Oh, it's okay. We'll go through it. We'll rush through. Come on.
No. We won't rush through. We'll take our time. Might be a
Okay.
little bit of a longer
Okay.
episode. We gotta take our time. We
Mhm.
gotta let these stories marinate. We gotta let them
Yeah.
give them their due diligence. We got an Armored Core 6 gameplay and release date trailer. Ryder, what do you know about this game? Have you seen a trailer before for it?
First time I
Tell
saw it
me
was
about your experience.
first time I saw it was when you got hyped for it. And what was it? It was the Summer
It
Games
was
Fest. I want to say when was the
it was last year's Summer Game
wow.
Fest, I think.
It was the final moment. It was but wait, there's one more thing. And it was Armored Core. And I just remember sitting there and I was like, this looks amazing. This is the sixth game. I had never heard of this ever, unfortunately.
Hmm.
But hey, thanks to you, that's what happens when you have friends. You get introduced to new stuff. I want you to tell me about, briefly. You don't have to get. I know there's probably a little bit of the history on what this game like kind of is, because here's my initial thought was it was like it was a. I'm thinking like, okay, comparisons, all right, like the vast scale of this sixth one. Like I don't know how the first five looked, right? I don't know if this is a completely new gameplay style, right, for this one, but it looks like it's just a giant open world kind of vast in scale fighting, not fighting, but like a shooting combat game, right? And you have like this mech and you're maybe upgrading it and you're attacking enemies and stuff like that. And it's kind of like a bullet storm type vibe, like just nonstop. I don't know. Is that accurate, or
Um,
how would you describe it?
it's
How would
n-
you describe this type of game?
it's not entirely inaccurate. I would say it is a like in the past it's been mission based. It's
Oh,
been
okay,
mission
cool.
based where like you spend in between missions, you're in your garage, you're customizing your mech suit, your armored core, and you're like putting guns on it, buying bullets, buying ammo, like systems, like you're buying like radars. So you can like basically have a better readout of like the map and of enemies around you. You're, fully customizing every system that you're interacting with in the
Mm-hmm.
game in the garage, and then you pick your mission and then you go out. I don't know if that's gonna like
Interesting. Yeah.
FromSoft has said they're staying true to the Armored Core formula, but it's been a long ass time since they've had another one of these games. And I've said this before on the show, but I'm interested to see how they adapt Armored
Oh,
Core to clearly a new
I would
FromSoft
have to wonder that.
audience that is more familiar with Dark Souls,
Uh-huh.
Elden Ring, and XYZ. All of these, this kind of overarching Souls like franchise that they've come to be known for.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Cause like FromSoft, okay, so that's cool. You know what? The first initial thought I had was like, this feels like Elden Ring in the sense of scale, in the sense of like depth of level
Yeah.
design. I was like, this is like really good. Even like the size of, like, maybe it's not enemies or NPCs or whatever, but like the size and scale looks so immense. And I'm like, I can only compare that to
It's a
Elden Ring,
big ass
right?
game.
So
Like that
it's
yeah, I
FromSoft.
remember
That's cool.
watching that show. I'm like, this is a big ass
Yeah.
game. Like it's good. You're seeing like huge
Right.
legs move, like huge like robotic limbs and like machines moving around your environment. You're right about it. It's kind of like a bullet hell. It's definitely like it's fast. You
Is it
need a lot of
mindless?
movement.
Like kind of
It's not
just
it's
was
not
just
mindless. It
thinking in
is
like,
everything but mindless.
okay. Yeah.
Um, it like everything is strategic,
Oh yeah. Cool,
and
cool.
this game, everything is very strategic about like how you move, like how you equip your mech to like move in certain environments around certain enemy types. It is that like after going into a mission, like having a enemy that totally fucks up your system that you got going on, so you got to go back and you got to edit and
Ooh, yeah.
to adapt to the situation at hand because you're like,
Right.
whoa, those enemies really fucked me up. I was really not suited for that. I got to go back and change up my mech, see what I'm doing, so then I could
Mhm.
counter those enemies better in the next encounter.
That's cool.
Um, really big boss fights looks really cool. There was like a
Mhm.
big giant worm, like a big giant robot like worm, like Dune
Or
style.
yeah. This might be
That
my
really
answer
cool.
to this world of FromSoft. You know what I mean? Like, look, I
Hmm.
won't deny their brilliance, right? Elden Ring is amazing, and I think just more games came that I couldn't hop into Elden Ring all the way. And I won't say that I didn't really like the gameplay of Elden Ring, because I did. It was hard. It wasn't hard for me. It was just tricky for me to latch on. You know what I mean? Like, it took me a while to get into the gameplay loop, right? Of like,
Hmm.
upgrading and fighting. Everything was perfect though. It was like, it wasn't hard or wasn't bad. It was just, it took, I don't know, something about it for me was tricky. And then time went on and stuff like that. So maybe this might be in the vein of, I get to enjoy a FromSoft's world, the vastness of scale, because it's more of the
It might be
tech.
trick. It still might be
Might be
tricky
tricky.
for you. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know, but
I
you
might give it
also
more.
you
Yeah.
like really in-depth games with a lot of systems
Yeah.
at hand that
Yeah.
like I think
Hmm.
you might interact with well.
And trust me, Elden Ring is always in the back of my mind. Like, I need to go all in on that and fully complete the whole game, because that is in my heart to do. But just too many
It's a
games.
big game.
Yeah, like I don't even care
Big
about
game. There's
side
a lot.
stuff. I just want to enjoy whatever the main thing is. Like, I've seen the whole
Mhm.
game play through. Like, I've seen the whole thing already multiple times. And have you beaten it? You've beaten Elden Ring, right? Have you
Yeah,
gotten into it?
I beat
Okay.
Elden Ring.
So
Mhm.
yeah, this is definitely. I mean, this is high up on your hype list, right? Like, I remember you were so excited for this.
Yeah. Oh, also important. It got a release date, and that's like I think August
Okay.
25th, 26th, end of the summer. So it's coming out
Are
pretty
you
soon.
serious already? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I
Wow.
imagine this game's been in development for quite a while. We got the reveal trailer last year.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Summer Games Fest could show more, like maybe like a in-depth gameplay preview or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe.
Um,
I know that
mhm,
FromSoft like keeps their advertisement pretty
minimal.
light.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty light. So
Cool.
we'll see.
Sounds good. Type stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got Horizon stuff. You ready for this? I'll go ahead
I
and
am.
I'll intro it and take you in. Okay. Here we go. Well, a third mainline game in the Horizon series appears to be in the works at Guerrilla Games. This comes from a new announcement previously in the last 24 hours. Seems like Aloy's gonna have another journey following the DLC that just released. James, here we go. We got an article. Let's hop into it.
Yeah, so this comes from Polygon. A third mainline game in the Horizon series appears to be in the works at Guerrilla Games. The developer of Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West said in an announcement on Monday that Guerrilla's bright future includes, quote, expanding the world of Horizon with Aloy's next adventure and our exciting online project. Hence, the third game comes just a few days after Guerrilla released the Burning Shores expansion for Horizon Forbidden West, and likely won't be a surprise to players who have completed that add on. That kind of insinuates a kind of cliffhanger at the
Mhm.
end of the DLC. As video games and their major story DLC tend to do, Burning Shores offers clues about where Aloy might be headed after her journey to the West Coast. Guerrilla's tease about what's next for Aloy was tucked under the announcement of a leadership change at the Dutch studio. Studio director and executive producer Angie Smets is moving to a role at PlayStation Studios as head of development strategy. Guerrilla's management team now consists of Joel Eschler, studio director and production director, Hella Schmidt, studio director and general manager, and Jan Bart van Beek, studio director and art director. Writer.
Wow.
Tell me, you played Horizon Forbidden West, right?
Yes.
Have you gotten around to Burning? Have you played Burning Shores?
No, but that's on my wish list. I was like, okay, $20, not too bad. I didn't mind the price tag, and I did want to hop into it. Again, it's just watching footage of it. It looks gorgeous. I think it's. I mean, the reviews sound that the reviews seem like they were pretty all right. You know, like for the good ones that came out, right? Yeah, I do want to hop into it. It looks great, but yeah, I love the Horizon
What
universe.
would you What would you want out of a sequel? Or I
Oh
guess
man,
a threequel.
I think you guys had a great point. We were talking about it on text about like a fully space game is something that I didn't think I wanted from the universe, but we're already tapping more into that science fiction esque vibe in this second game, and I'm sure even more probably in the DLC. And that's what I like more. Like, yes, the nature aspect is fun, but I think the creatures and the science of the futuristic vibe, I think hopping into that more will be such a jarring world to hop into for Aloy, because she seems like, it seems like you're in like a Far Cry, or like, you're in like a jungle setting, right? Kind of not jungle, but it's the
It is
apocalypse of
jungly.
San
It's like it's
the West Coast, right?
a
Hmm.
lot of foliage.
Yeah, it's a
It's
lot of
like kind of
foliage.
tropical, jungly. Like it's a lot of foliage, a lot of grass, a lot of leaves, a lot of
Hmm.
trees. And then the second game released like a lot of water, a lot of
Yeah,
beaches, those sort of environments too.
and that's what they do so
And I'm
well.
interested.
They blend it,
Yeah,
science,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like,
And so I'd be
whoa.
interested to see like how like they have these environments that
Hmm.
they've worked so hard to build, and like how do you replicate that in more of like a space theme? Do you go like, okay, we're gonna start making like foreign environments with like red trees and like like different colored environments and some really creative, super like psychedelic worlds that you might have Aloy explore? Like I don't know what fits in that world because
Yeah.
it feels very grounded
Hmm.
too, and like the history of the Earth, as being post-apocalyptic, feels like very settled
Hmm.
in these environments that are already there.
Yeah. The question I want to pose to everybody is, why does this matter? Now, I think something to be excited about when it comes to Horizon. I know there were some comments I saw that were really excited for this announcement. Some that were like, oh, I wanted a new game. Look, Horizon seems to have some of the best graphics out right now. And I think that the engine and everything that they're working on is like some of the best stuff you can experience right now in games. So to have a third one, I think the medium's just going to keep pushing forward when it comes to these games. Because, like, man, I don't know any other games right now that are making quality look as good as this, but I know it's a style choice. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on what your style is, but hey, I think it's something to look forward to, because I'm a graphics guy. So coming from anybody that looks into graphics more than gameplay or anything else, I think the graphics were pretty insane.
I think they really, I mean, going back in environments, they really made it look incredible. Like I think they hit really good strides in terms of like facial animations
Hmm.
and like design and overall like look and feel of a world. I think they made something really unique. So I think with the third installment, I think they would have to maintain that if they were to move it
Hmm.
like to a new location, as long
Yeah.
as they have that. And I'm confident the studio would prioritize, like they're good at making those environments that
Hmm.
feel very vibrant and very you know um pre-existing, like it's already been there for a
Yeah.
while, like there's a culture here,
Hmm.
that sort of dealio.
Yeah.
Finish us off with this last point, Ryder.
Well, something else coming from the studio, an online multiplayer game is set in the Horizon franchise. It was announced in December. The online project Gorilla is pursuing will feature a new cast of characters and a unique stylized look. The studio said when it revealed the game, friends will be able to explore the majestic wilds of Horizon together. And hey, that wasn't something I think I needed either, but hey, that's a definite
Do you
surprise.
want that, Ryder? As someone who like really likes this franchise, do you want to experience this in a multiplayer setting?
I'm just baffled at how something like that can run. You know what I mean? Because we know about, like, when it comes to servers, like the world, it's like, wow, how is it possible? And I know it's like such a like, oh, mind blowing thing to think about, but it's like, wow, to have multiple people in it. I don't know if it's gonna be 2 players or 4 players or however many, like that open world. I think it's gonna be great. I think it could be really fun. As terms of like how long that'll last, I don't know, like the longevity of it, but it could be something. It could be like a quick little, quick little time that,
Like a novelty
yeah,
thing?
novelty thing. It's like, wow, this is cool. We got to hop in together and have a fun
Yeah.
time for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm curious as to how the game, like how you shift from such a hard RPG into a multiplayer game.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
what is it going to be focused around? What's the gameplay loop going to
Balancing.
be like?
Hmm.
Balancing all these things.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me. You good? Are you good on your?
I'm
your side, your
good.
thoughts. Well,
Yeah.
ladies and gents, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this third game, Horizon? Do you guys want another one, or would you like something else completely brand new? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for listening. If you're watching this clip, you can become a member and watch the full podcast. This is Checkpoint episode 159. Or you guys can listen on audio platforms for free anywhere you listen to podcasts, all over the internets. Links will all be down below. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. I realize I hear Vince say, Vince closes out our clips every single time, and so I closed out exactly like him, purely from instinct, not from anything else alone, because he always says peace out, and I was like, that's funny.
I love the peace
I've
out.
never said
I'm
that
a
in my
big
life.
peace out guy.
Yeah. No, anyways, that's good stuff. Good
Okay.
stuff, dude. All right, let's move on. What we got?
You want to take this next one, Ryder? Go ahead.
Okay, so continuing on with Horizon, there was recent review bombing that happened for the DLC. You hate to see it, but we thought we'd mention it and talk about it. Metacritic. But there's some good that comes from. Okay, Metacritic is going to be improving their moderation. Okay, so this is good. This is what we want, right? So here's the article. It's from Kotaku. Let's get into it. Following the recent review bombing of the DLC Forbidden West, review aggregator Metacritic has confirmed in a statement to Eurogamer that the site is evolving its processes to introduce tools that will create stricter moderation for abusive and disrespectful reviews. Look, okay, I'll continue on before I say anything else. The fact that two queer characters kiss in a fictional game led some homophobes to review bomb the DLC on Metacritic, dragging its user score from a 5.1 all the way down to a 3.0 rating. Is this on a 5.0 scale? What is this? Is it a 10.0 scale? 10?
The
What?
user score is on a 10 scale.
Interesting.
So,
Okay. Well, at the time of writing, the user score sits at a 4.0 rating. Some 236 critics all have an issue with Aloy kissing a girl. Metacritic noticed the user reviews and now plans to do something about it. And they have a little quote. I'll end it with this, and then we can get into our thoughts. Metacritic is aware of the abusive and disrespectful reviews of Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, and we have a moderation system in place to track violations of our terms of use. They continued on. Our team reviews each and every report of abuse, including but limited to racist, sexist, homophobe, insults to other users, etc. And if violations occur, the reviewers are removed. We're currently evolving our processes and tools to introduce stricter moderations in the coming months. This is what we need. We see this too many times happening. I mean, but then again, too, when it comes to review sites, I think we take these review sites too seriously in general. Rotten Tomatoes, I think for movies, it's like, so many people depend the quality of this stuff on these reviews, and I think they sometimes both forget what it means and put too much trust in this stuff, right? Like, these Metacritic review has nothing to do with the game's quality, right? Like, you can just play it and see what you think of your own, or watch like an individual review, but
yeah.
there are a lot of credible people out there that go to these sites to put their work out. So it's like, you go there to look at, it's a collection of all that stuff. But when this stuff like this happens, it's very disappointing. It's disappointing, and it's like, what's the point, right? Why are we doing these sites? Like, we need to have these relegations, because it's like, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah,
It
it's
can be
people. It's
bombing.
people wanting to know the climate around a game. People like, do people like this game? Are the people who care enough about this game and to like review it? Are they accurately talking about their experience? And I guess they would tell you that accurately this scene pissed them off and made them not enjoy the experience. But when that's homophobic, so you can't say that, and that's not reflective of that. That's not bad game design. That's just you being a homophobe.
Yeah, it's always surprising too, like stuff like this. Like, what I did watch footage of kind of the DLC, and I was watching it, and I was like, I knew Aloy and I knew her character, and then when they introduced a new one, and then kind of introduced that story a little bit, I was like, oh, okay, I see where they're going with this, and it was like, I don't know, it's just so silly, because it's like, it's such a minor thing, like there's bigger things at play in this DLC, but yet that's the one thing that they pointed out there, and then I was like, oh, okay. So the DLC appears to be scoring well with critics. Like, we heard about before this happened.
It's sitting at an 82.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. It's sitting at an 82 Metascore, which is good. It's really good. And the user score declined to 4.0 overall. I'm looking at it, and it's got 432 positive reviews, but it has 358 negative reviews on the user side.
But
crazy.
Yeah, I always like to say, like, when it comes to positivity and it comes to like spreading that, it's not too often we see that, right? Like even being on YouTube for so long, we see the negative is so much louder, right? Because even though it's a minority, there's always a that's always a louder to say sometimes when it comes to this stuff. Like I think it's hard to come by positivity sometimes when it comes to online spaces or even like reviews, but because like look at that 4 to 300, it's like we need more
Yeah,
people like
it's really,
if you love it, show your love for it, right? But I know
there's
people
this
aren't.
like to give an example, there's
Mm-hmm.
like a really like there's this review that came out today from some random bozo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this person, True Life Pause, yeah, I'll shout you out, fucking asshole, who said like they give all their like stuff about gameplay, like poor rarity system, sharp shot bows became unplayable, da 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 da. But they say like their fourth point is poor new machines, but new characters, and in parentheses it's you know what I mean,
What?
as if like they're implying
Oh,
something. It just
yeah.
feels really like backhanded
Yeah.
and feels really like if you're gonna say it, just say
Mhm.
it. And then number 5 is Metacritic editing my post to remove some part which Sony paid them for deletion. So
Oh
it's like
gosh, come
it
on.
feels like it, yeah,
That's
for
so
I
dumb.
mean, this is one review, but
Mhm.
like I like it's probably gonna come like see how people turn it into this whole like
Yeah,
conspiratorial
no.
thing like, oh, Sony's paying for this to like give a certain reception about a game, and that's just how harmful these review bombs can get is it
Mhm.
starts to lead to like,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like, don't let these people guide your decisions on whether or not you want to play a
No,
game,
yeah, for
especially
sure.
when they're
Mhm.
homophobes and like don't know that you get grossed out if they say, "Oh, gross, girls kissing." Oh, oh no! Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, grow
My
up.
my final point is, look, if they want to improve their moderation on a site like Metacritic that's so trusted and vastly used, even we use it all the time, right? Y'all are always calling back to that. I hope that there is more. I hope that they stick by their word and fix that, and we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
But yeah, when it comes, you make a great point. Play the game, or go to your trusted sources where you go, maybe like an individual more than that, more than like majority aggregate, right? And then
Hmm.
make your assumptions yourself.
Hmm.
That's all I got.
Yep.
All right, grain of salt. Are we moving on there, or do we? Yeah, you want to say this real quick, and
This
then
is
we'll.
just
Yeah.
real quick,
Yeah.
yeah. Vince
No.
Impella, when asked about the future possibility of a Titanfall 3, said he would love to see it happen. Let me see
That's
if
cool.
I want to see
Titanfall
what
3 is
it's
great.
from.
Titanfall 2,
Yeah,
1, played them both. Fantastic stuff.
so good. This comes from Tay Kim at barons.com, in which he talked about Jedi Survivor,
Mhm.
Titanfall 3, and
I'm just
other things in the
really.
franchise too, talking about Apex and like how they would want to incorporate the Apex universe into it, and so that's like a big thing for them right now too. But he said he would love to see it happen. There are no exact dedicated plans for that; it just has to be the right thing.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility. At the end of the day,
Yeah. Cool.
it's not a confirmation, but it's not outside the
Wouldn't
realm of
mind it.
possibility,
Wouldn't mind it at all.
and wouldn't mind it at all.
um. Yeah. I'm ready to move on. I'm giddy about what we got with this. The
Get
Star
into it,
Wars,
Ryder.
the
It's
Jedi
all
Survivor
you.
reviews are out. I
Hmm.
just wrapped the first game a few hours ago, literally like 4 hours
Oh
ago,
my
maybe I'll
god!
say.
Well,
I played it.
wow.
I told Vincent, and about like my experience with it. I don't like the gameplay, right, James? I'm sorry to say, it's what is it like Souls like? Is it Souls like? Is that what it's called?
It feels like.
It's fun, but I don't know. It's just something about me. It's just a me thing. Look, the game is
I want to
great.
know what you don't like about it, though. I don't want you to just say like it's me. I want to know why it's you.
I think okay, you know why? Because when it comes to like combat, I think what I try to stay away from is the lock on. I don't like the lock on. I want it to be a little more free, right? And like fluid. And it is this
Okay.
first game. I don't know about the second. Like the second one is hopefully a lot better, of course,
I
right?
mean, I mean, that's. I think they would continue the lock
No, yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. But I'm saying like the fluidity of it, right? Because like what I hate is when I'm like pushing like a block or pushing like a fight, right? It's like it's just one motion, and it's not like if I'm tapping block 3 times, I want it to go block, 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 right? But when I'm clicking it 3 times, what in this game it does is just blocks, and then he kind of goes down, and it's not responsive enough because it's almost like like you're heavy, right? Like you're holding heavy, and I don't know,
Yeah.
like I'm getting hit sometimes, but like my brain, I'm functioning. It's like, oh, I want to dodge here, hit, block, and the guy is moving, like Cal is moving a little slower because of this system, and I'm like, I just want it to be like exactly responsive to what I'm doing, and it's like it's trailing behind me a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how I can
gotta.
best
I
put it.
think yeah, it's definitely they're trying to communicate like weight
Yeah.
and
See,
like
and I totally respect
that
it. It's
it's
yeah.
making the game a little harder about
Hmm.
what you want, how
Yeah.
you want
Hmm.
to be intentional about like when you block, and they don't want it. See, I think they don't want it to be as reactive as you want it to
Yeah.
be.
Because
They
yeah,
want
it
it to be
takes you out
more
of it.
like
It's
methodical.
yeah, exactly. Because then it becomes like silly, right? Like it needs to be realistic in a sense, right? Um,
Yeah.
I love the first one though. I loved it. Yeah, like it's a great game, and I love the story and
What did
Cal.
you love about it so much if you felt because the combat
Mhm.
and like the minute to minute gameplay is like kind of for me it was like it was one the thing that I loved
Yeah,
about it,
yeah, okay.
and two it like is so much of the core experience of that game.
Yeah. I was kind of pushing through the fighting, like when you're fighting guys one on one. That's kind of what I
Hmm.
push through. What I love is deflecting blasters from stormtroopers. I love using the force powers. I love, you can pull
Hmm.
them into you, right? You can freeze a group if they're all kind of getting overwhelming. Stuff like that is like, yeah, that's fun. It's more of like the close hand to hand when you two have lightsabers and you're kind of like timing the block. You're figuring out like their move set, stuff like that is it's tricky for me, but yeah, like I said, it's like block when a stormtrooper shoots at you and they make a comment, how is this possible, and you block it and it deflects back at them. That's like, God, give me more of that.
And then
That's
you
stuff.
really might maybe you shouldn't go back to Elden Ring. It's
No,
just
yeah,
that
yeah,
like it's
but I'll
just
give it a
that it's like,
chance. Yeah,
oh
like,
fuck, my animation was too slow, and
I
like
know. I know.
and I didn't get him, and he fucking got me first.
I don't mind the suffering though. I'm willing to put myself through it. Like I didn't suffer, but like I went through the whole Star Wars game. I was like, I just gotta pump through it. You know what I mean? Like, because I tried
Mhm.
it, many years back, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. But now I'm like all in, and I was like, the story was so good. But anyways, the second game is out in just a few hours. Honestly, it releases today as a recording on the 27th, 9 p.m. PST. So anybody pre-order, let us
12
know.
p.m. EST for you New Yorkers out there.
Yeah, yeah, hype, hype, hype. So the reviews are in. Metacritic, it's got an 86. And ladies and gents,
96, really good.
it's looking really good right now.
Mhm.
Kind of funny games. They have a review out.
Yep.
GameSpot has a review out. Let's get into some of these. We have an 8 out of 10 GameSpot. Survivor builds on Fallen Order in several meaningful ways. Tightening up the combat mechanics, expanding the variety of lightsaber styles, alleviating the frustration of platforms and puzzles, and digging into less mainstream Star Wars lore to tell a fantastic story about a Jedi trying to defeat a tyrannical evil at all costs and coming to the realization that you can't just fight for good, you have to fight for good in the right way. It's a superb Star Wars game that gets into the nitty gritty of the struggle of what it takes for a Jedi Knight to begin a journey toward the rank of Master. Wow. That sounds fantastic. That is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I
um,
want to bring up
mhm.
like a mid review just to
Okay,
like
yeah.
give a little
Balance it
to
out.
like round it out.
Hmm.
Like let me see. Like Eurogamer Poland says they gave it a 70 and says Star Wars Jedi Survivor is decent fun, but nothing more than that. Respawn lost the charm of the first game, going for trendy solutions by executing them in a merely correct way. Instead of betting on a thoughtful development of the formula, Respawn put emphasis on misguided elements the game didn't need. I can't agree or disagree with any of this because I
Yeah.
literally haven't played it.
Yeah.
On the Kind of Funny Games cast, there was certain like they talked a lot about technical issues with this game,
Hmm.
and they talked a lot about bugs specifically and how
Hmm.
like that could be alleviated with the day one patch, could not be. We really don't know. We know
Hmm.
they're working on that for sure, but we don't know if they'll iron everything out. Um they also talked about like for Barrett Courtney, he
Hmm.
said the story really picked up in the second half, didn't really love the
Yeah.
first half.
Yeah.
Um
The highlight for me was
they
when
talk
Greg talked about the best moment of gameplay he's ever
What was
experienced.
it?
He's like, I've been in this industry 16 years. There was a gameplay mechanic, not like a story
No, no,
beat
no.
or a
Do you know what
cutscene.
it was?
No,
Do you know
I
what
mean,
the
it was
game?
spoiler. It was like a spoiler thing.
Oh,
He said there was a
mm,
gameplay thing I was doing that I was like, I have never done that in games. And I'm like,
huh.
what? Like, what do they do? Switch to first person? Like I was like, no, that's been done. Like I don't know what it could be, but that's just sounds
Yeah,
exciting that
it'd
they
be really
do it.
interesting.
They do a surprise. Sorry to interrupt. What were you
Yeah.
saying about Barrett?
No, you're good.
Mhm.
Um, People really like the characters. People love the
Mhm.
cast, which I think is really big. It seems like the story is either or. Like people either really like it or they're
Yeah.
kind of meh on it. I haven't heard anyone say like, no, it's ass, not good.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
people are like so on it. Which I mean, like I went into the game, or sorry, I'm going into the game with a low expectation of the story because
Yeah.
the first one was like pretty good, but it didn't do anything for me
Mhm.
substantially. But
Mhm.
Barrett Courtney said like there was, and Greg Miller both said there was like oh shit moment, like multiple oh shit
Yeah.
moments in the game that like I can't wait to experience.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go on to read the IGN review. They gave it a 9 out of 10. This comes from Dan Stapleton. With a new set of larger, more diverse, and densely packed worlds to explore and a memorable cast of returning characters, Survivor tells a story that may be predictable, but is still fun and at times emotional to watch play out. Launch performance issues aside, it's a sequel that does virtually everything better than the original, which was already an exceptional Star Wars game. If Respawn makes one more like this, it'll complete the best Star Wars trilogy in 30 years, hands down. Holy shit, that's huge.
Yeah. That's wild. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like, based off, again, even in reviews, they were talking about they could close this off with a second game. Not already talk about a third game. Jeez, it's like, just enjoy what you
Mhm.
got now. But, I think it'd be cool. It's, you see Star Wars, they're just filling in gaps left and right, right? We have the announcements following Star Wars Celebration. I think
Mhm.
more gaps filled in, more characters represented is like, cool, give me more. But they did say that there's not as much, like, again, I don't know if they're saving spoilers, right? But they were saying like this is more Star Warsy and more like a sci-fi action film, right? It's more like gamey, like
Which I
big.
like.
Okay, yeah,
Which I
okay.
like. Because, like, at the end of the day, I've said at
Hmm.
the end of the day so many times in this podcast, I feel like, but I don't care so
Hmm.
much about things being Star Warsy because
Hmm.
of the common connotation of what that means now.
Yeah.
Like things being Star Warsy means you just connect it to more things, and I don't need this to be connected.
Hmm.
Actually want it to be contained. I like small connections, and I like a nod
Hmm.
here or a nod there, a clever tongue in cheek sort
Yeah.
of reference to another character,
Hmm.
but I don't like need cameos all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
I don't need those sort of moments in which it's like, whoa, that person that's like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
specifically for someone to go, whoa, this person.
Right. Well, see, there are people. Look, I know a lot of people would want cameras to say cameras. I'll tell you this. Look, whenever I say, like, when I'm telling you and Vince specifically, I'm telling you guys, hey, it would be cool if this person showed up. And then, like, Vince always rebuttals with like oh, I just wanted to have a good story. I don't wanted to have that. And I was telling him yesterday. I told him yesterday. I was like, but I know it's not gonna ruin the story. I just want to, like, I think if it applies to the story, it'd be cool. But no, I'm totally with you, James. Like, like just little things here and there. It's like cool. I am definitely a sucker for those big things, and it's always, even as a creator, I think making a game, it's like, oh, hard to resist. Like, let's not put that. Let's just keep it our own. Or they're like, oh, I wonder what the conversations are like. To like, how far do we go with this? Do we show this location? Do we drop this name, or do we just come up with a new character and we have it a whole, new thing? But
Hmm.
it's just thinking about a story, thinking about what matters to Cal and the group. So I care
Yeah,
about Cal. I'm looking forward to his thing, but.
I really like Cal.
We got High
Good
Republic.
kid.
They're throwing in High Republic stuff. We've seen with that new Jedi. I think it's makes for
Hmm.
great story stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to hear, once you guys playing it, y'all's thoughts and
Totally.
once we finish it and stuff
Well,
like that.
run me through this last review, writer.
Destructoid gives it 9 out of 10. This is from Chris Carter. I only platinum a few games a year, but I'm considering going the distance for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's how much I liked it, and I would have scored it higher if the technical concerns weren't in play. So we only dropped it down to 1 point. That's pretty crazy. After finishing Jedi Survivor and immediately cleaning up what I had missed for fun, I found myself wishing for a world where Respawn Entertainment focused all of its energy on single-player games from here on out. Wow.
It'd be pretty crazy, especially with the thing they said about Titanfall 3.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
Tempella.
That's high praise.
That comes from Chris Carter. Um, Yeah, I feel like we've talked a lot about Jedi Survivor. I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
Okay.
excited to play this game. It's coming out in the midst of final season, and my dead week is next week.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
like, fuck. Like, what do I do? Like, do I make it my study break game, or
You gotta
do
give it the time. Just
I
be
like
patient.
do I just wait? Do I
I would
just
wait it out.
wait and
Yeah.
wait it out?
Mhm.
Okay.
Cause
Um,
like, look, cause I'm always like, oh, I'm eager
but
to
I want to be in
just.
the conversation. Like so much of the enjoyment is like being a part of that initial release crew of people who like are
Yeah.
all like they're all talking about it on Twitter and everything like
Oh,
that.
I
And
know. I want to be.
I
Yeah.
just want to be
I know,
conversation.
like that. I try to rush things when it comes to games because of y'all. You know what I mean? Y'all are always so
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's like, guys, they just platinum, blah blah. And I'm like, what? It just came out. I'm like, oh my god, So I know what you mean.
Hmm.
I know what you mean. So I say wait to give it its time, but if you can give it the care, then yeah, you do. You play it when you want. You know what I mean? Like, hop in it, bro.
Yeah.
I won't be like sending. I know I can be like, oh my god, like I won't spoil stuff, but I'll be like, guys, this is
Yeah.
great. No. But yeah, there you have it. That's the main stuff.
That's
It's
it.
a meaty
Have
day.
you been playing anything
Yeah, so I
this
finished
week?
I finished the Star Wars. I'm glad to have that wrapped up. And then like every once in a while I'm in Valheim, which is a Game Pass game.
Yep.
Xbox been doing that a lot. And that's really it. It's just been Star Wars this past again, like yeah, like you said, Dead Week, so that's what the time has been. It's just Star Wars. Did I show you? I got a new book. This is
Oh shit.
in preparation for
Oh,
the
you got
Ahsoka series.
Thrawn.
Thrawn. I'm gonna start reading
Nice.
Thrawn and learn about the lore. So I'm in full Star Wars mode right now.
The law.
That's it.
What about the law?
About the lore, yeah. What have you been playing?
Um, I've been playing God of War Ragnarok. I got deep into it.
Oh,
I got that weapon at the end of the game.
what?
And it's just so cool. It like feels so rewarding, and I just want to like use it all the time. And
You mean
it's
like
incredible.
like a side or like in campaign, like side thing?
In campaign.
Oh,
In
okay, okay. I know
campaign.
what you're talking about. Yeah,
I got
that,
like
yeah.
a big yeah, it was so
Mhm.
cool. And so I'm trying to like clean everything up before I go and
Yeah,
finish like the last story beat and just go ham because I know like once I start this last story beat, what feels like the last story beat, I feel like I'm just gonna want to keep going
yeah.
straight ahead. So I'm trying to like clean up before that, and I'm doing a lot
Good
of the
call.
side stuff. Like, dude, some of those side mini
Oh,
bosses, the berserkers, are
yeah,
so hard. I did a
yeah.
lightning one where he was like, shooting lightning at me and
Mm-hmm.
shit, and it was so hard. I had to
It
turn
lasts a
on
while.
the boss checkpoints where like
Oh,
if you get
yeah.
him below a certain like
Mm-hmm.
level that it would like whenever you restart it would keep at that level or go
Mm-hmm.
back up only a certain amount, and
That's
then I
crazy.
could finally
Yeah.
beat it. But it was like this game is so good. I love the combat.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't like it at first, but I'm starting to really get a feel for like comboing
Mm-hmm.
and like feeling how these systems work
Mm-hmm.
and the moment to moment combat and being able to get creative with it, and that's really fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's great. It's a great game.
Mhm.
Loved it.
It's a great game.
All right, well, that's it. Everybody,
That's it.
thanks for listening, y'all. That was fun.
Thanks for listening. This is a long show today.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully the next week will be short, but we had a lot going on this week. We had
Yeah.
so much news.
Even on the movie side, there's
Along with the surprise Armored Core trailer that dropped today. All in all, this is all leading up to a very eventful Summer Games Fest,
yeah, very excited. Stay tuned for that.
which is
We'll
in
try and
less
cover
than
it all.
2 months
Yeah,
almost.
2 months. Yeah, Summer Games Fest, like the Keeley. I don't know, like I don't know, Keeley's doing
Oh,
something.
Nintendo's coming to Gamescom
Oh,
2023.
that
Wow,
new? That just broke?
that's fun. I don't know if that
Oh,
just broke,
oh,
but
okay.
that's new
Okay.
from yesterday.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time, especially for us on the channel. And just everybody enjoy the games that are coming out. Enjoy. If you're playing Star Wars, hit us up on the Twitters. Let us know. Let us know.
Yeah, hit us up on our Twitter. That's probably the best place to interact with us.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but you can reach out to us on our other platforms. Maybe the website will become that space at
Yeah.
one point.
Yeah.
But for now, talk to us on Twitter. Give us a DM. Give us a little shout out, a little at on the timeline.
Little ad on the timeline. At with a GIF. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding. All right. Well,
Maybe.
thanks everybody. That was me. I had fun. James, you've been a great
I had a
host.
great time. Hey, Ryder, thank you for doing this with me today. I had so much fun.
Hey, buddy. All right, everybody. Have a good week.
Have a great week, everyone.